As a buyer's agent, sometimes you do need to pull in forms from the MLS. So I'll also show you how to do that. So in the last video, we talked about adding DocuSign forms to the room and editing them. But now we actually need to add in the forms from the MLS. So I'm going to go into the MLS, into my property, and I'm going to use this paperclip option to look at the forms associated with this property. And I'm going to just use the HOA disclosure for today. You can see it downloaded to the bottom of my screen right here. So I can go ahead and close that tab and go back into DocuSign. If you need more help with that, you can ask me or Scott. Now that I have this form downloaded to the bottom of my screen, I can actually just drag and drop it into my Documents tab in my room. You can see the difference in the icons here. This one is a DocuSign form and this one is a PDF. If I click on the PDF, I actually do not have those blanks to click in, and I can't edit this form. So I am going to show you how to edit the form. So we're going to go into envelopes, and this is where you go for e-signatures. If you forget, just remember E for envelopes, E for e-signature. To create a new envelope, we're going to click on New in the top right-hand corner, and it's going to bring us to a new envelope. You can name the envelope whatever you want. I highly recommend making sure that it is something you will understand. So I'm just going to put in offer 10/20/2020. This is going to be the offer that my buyers are going to sign. Obviously, I didn't fill it out completely, but please make sure you do so before you send it. This envelope name is only for your eyes. Your buyer will not see the name of the envelope. So now I can click on Room Docs to add documents to the envelope. We've already added the documents into this room that we need to use, and I'm actually going to select all three of them. So I want to send all three forms, so I checked all three boxes and now Add Selected. My forms pop up right here. I can rearrange the order of the forms. If I want to put the contract first, I can just by dragging and dropping. I'm going to move the KW disclosure first, and now we need to add recipients to the envelope. I can click on the Add Recipient dropdown to use pre-tagged roles. These pre-tagged roles are how DocuSign knows where the buyer and seller initials go. We're going to be sending it to Buyer 1 and Buyer 2. That's Brian and Betty Buyer. So I checked Buyer 1 and Buyer 2. So now in the drop down, I need to decide who that is. Who is Buyer 1? So that's going to be Brian, and then Buyer 2 is Betty. And then I can add selected. DocuSign does recognize that there are places for seller signatures, but we are not sending it to the sellers. So once I click on Add Selected, I can see my Buyer 1 and Buyer 2 here. If I had entered them into the Details tab, you would see their emails pop up here, but they didn't, mostly because they don't have emails. I'm just going to make one up for them. And same thing for Betty. This would be another place where you can change the email you send to them if it's a different one than what you have on file in Command. You can change the email subject and email message down at the bottom. I normally do not. But once I have added my documents and the recipients, I can click on Next. This is the screen where I can actually see where the buyer's signatures have been added because I used pre-tagged roles. On the right-hand side, I can see the forms I've added. I can actually minimize this one because I just need to add a signature and initial on the HOA disclosure. So I can see here are the buyer initial boxes. So I can actually see that these yellow tabs are for Brian. So I can actually just click on initial and then click again where I want it to go. You don't have to drag and drop, but you can. Then I can switch over to Betty and add an initial for her. Same thing with signatures.